так не сработало. И однако, день добрый. Я вот нашел интересную игрушку. Хочу ее заценить. По идее, там саунд-лист должен быть нормальный. Поэтому я даже выключу то, что мне сейчас играет. И выжить. Привет. Спасибо. Сколько добра и сколько сразу в лицо. Хорошего позитива. Давай, и тебе тоже. Спасибо за пожелания. Хорошего тебе солнечного дня. Настроения. Ну, если останешься, и приятного просмотра того, как я сейчас буду тупить. Ну, ладно, в чат, увидел. У меня на улице, кстати, солнышко. Сейчас до сих пор светит. Погодка на редкость, а уже который день хорошая. Что удивительно. Посиди.
Hi, my name is David Whaley, and I'm the creator of the first tree. I also voice a character named Joseph. So I just wanted to introduce you to this commentary mode, tell you that you can find interesting things about how I made this game by touching the speech bubbles you see in the world. So I hope you enjoy it.
Сейчас немножко покорректирую звук. По графику я... А тут и нету редактирования громкости.
Are you awake? I thought I heard you get up.
Если сделаю чуть потише.
I'm awake. Sorry, I just can't sleep.
Чтобы меня хотя бы слышал.
Are you
Да,
thinking
именно.
about him?
Yeah, a bit. Usually get back to
Да, за лесу.
No, it's okay. What else is on your mind?
Я как бы его предварительно. Но это, по-моему, The First Tree.
I saw a fox on a snowy mountain, just looking confused and worried. Those eyes. I can't get those eyes out of my
Я
head.
в подобные игрушки уже играл. Скажем так, как обычно, есть мини-головоломки.
Do you think it has to do with you and what's been going on?
I don't know. It was just a dream, Rachel. They're not meant to make sense.
Не, ну, в принципе, я уже сталкивался с тем, что... Ну, что поделать. На самом деле, я уже встречал такие игрушки, которые поначалу мне показались очень ужасного графония, а потом, но сюжет у них оказался охренительным. Ну ладно.
I'll try not to spoil too much, since a lot of this game ties into the very last act, which is the epilogue, I call it. But you'll notice there's lots of items around, and that's kind of what the first tree is about, is like exploring this land and trying to figure out why they're there, what they were used for, and it's kind of explained that this is a dream for Joseph. But it's something different, and it's not supposed to be like your average dream. It's supposed to be something a little deeper.
Здесь не обязательно
pay attention to all the items that are around, and try to figure out how they tie into the story.
Да, сюжет. Разговор на английский я, честно говоря, очень-очень смутно знаю. Точнее, я его вообще не знаю. Текстовой относительно. Привет, Валанчик. Это The First Tree. Игра про лису. Ну или про блифера. Я сейчас перед стримом решил немножко разобраться в OBS. Переделал кое-какие фичи. Ну, точнее, в особенности я переделал follow и поднастроил пока. В общем, летающие смайлики. Кстати, как твои дела, баланчик? Выспался? Хотя управление непривычно.
So it's usually at this point where people say something like, "This is not the kind of game I was expecting." And that happened a lot at PAX West when I showed it. We'd have
Это
little
лиса
kids
или
play it,
лисица?
but then they see a dead fox cub, or kit is technically the word, but cub sounds,
Backside.
I don't know, it sounds better. Like Wes Anderson uses it in Fantastic Mr. Fox, so I thought cub would be better. But anyway,
что ж так, Валанчик?
having this game, I wanted it to be more serious. This game is based on dealing with the death of my father, which was the hardest thing that's ever
Какая
happened
прелесть.
to me and my family. But I don't want to talk about it here,
А то
and
бишь, если я
I didn't
зажму...
want to talk about it with anybody.
А,
Really.
нет, это
To
один
this
раз
day,
только
still, it's very
действует.
personal, and that's why I made this game. That's exactly the reason, because I wanted to get those feelings out and like communicate with people without like talking about it. And so that's what the first tree is. It's me dealing with my feelings.
Ну ладно.
And it was a personal project, and it was just me. And
Она не ела.
glad I made it.
Вот не
But
надо.
It wasn't easy to make, I guess
Это
is
не
what I'm
было
saying.
Блин.
So not far from her home, she
Каннибализмом.
followed that path
Она
to
просто
something
понюхала.
unexpected. She couldn't stay though.
Нужно было идти
had to find her
эти
other
двух
two
других
children.
лисят.
So
А,
she
это ее
took that
детеныши.
She followed
Это и
it
она
towards
все же.
something ancient. Something with answers.
Вот это поворот. Такое чувство, что прихрамывает. Лиса повсюду искала своих лисят, но хоть какой-то след. Дерево, казалось, у него была какая-то своя история. В этой земле была и моя история. Мне казалось, что я бегу там вместе с ней. Да не ты один, чувака. Кажется, бежишь. Ну тут за компанию тоже. И... я могу их сожрать.
The bunnies were added because my wife, Elise, who also voices Rachel in the game, who's also helped a ton to make the game.
Серьезно, он не
She just said it, the world felt kind of empty and not alive enough.
Она проваливается в текстуры.
Add some kind of life. And so the bunnies was like the first idea that came to mind. And like most of the game, I used like publicly available assets to speed up production because I was working
Стелс-режим.
along with making this game, and we just had our first baby, a little girl named Evelyn. So I was messing with this asset called Herd Sim, and at one point, like the generation script that creates variations of the sizes of the
так не работает.
One time I got out of control and it made
А я
like
не
this
могу на них
monster bunny
охотиться.
that towered over everybody. And I shared that GIF on Imager and Reddit.
Зачем?
And that was a huge hit.
Зачем
It
нужны
helped
кролики?
definitely gain an
Конечно,
audience for
чтобы
this
на
game.
них просто
But it's hard because
смотреть.
this game is like so serious. It's about life and death, not giant bunnies. But I knew I needed something like a shout out to that because it was pretty fun. So if you're able to catch all the bunnies on this map, I think there's around 13, then you'll get a special surprise. So,
Да.
good luck.
Удачи. Причем тут удача? Привет, Ванька. Как твои дела? Как сегодняшняя погодка? Что... Вроде проснулся. Неплохо. Мне только что солнышко зашло. Но у меня утро было не настолько хорошее, но тем не менее. Вроде дальше было лучше. Сегодня еще занимался тем, что, во-первых, сенсу на мышке поднастраивал. Ну и плюс я вчера разговаривал с одним знакомым, мне посоветовал одну фиговину. Вот тренируюсь. Скажем так, вещица помогает набить скиллку в плане стрельбы в каких-либо играх, в том же PUBG.
Don't be embarrassed. Every kid wants to fly. For me, it was another toy from my dad, a wooden boat.
Да, что такое? Что именно?
When I sat down, a group of boys immediately made fun of it. They asked which trash can I found it in, or why an ugly log was my favorite toy. When I got up, I didn't even want to tell them my dad had carved it. I said it was a joke gift my friends had given me.
Kids can be so cruel.
Some of them
И что теперь можно теперь рекламу? Не понял, как это работает, но просто я так и не понял, в чем прикол этой Twitch рекламы. Может, ты мне расскажешь? Олег вроде в свое время говорил, что за счет этого можно было набить бицы. Теперь уже нельзя заблокировать. Зашибись.
One of the best ways to make an exploration game feel worth it or to reward the player is to have as many secrets as possible.
Я, кстати, что-то так охреневаю. Twitch все больше и больше ужесточает правила. Ты знал то, что нельзя там в какой-либо брендовой одежде вести стрим, то бишь, если у тебя футболка Нирваны, то тебя могут спокойно влепить бан. На YouTube, как вариант. Я, собственно... У меня в принципе есть такая возможность. Ну, вкратце, Ванька, если что. Я вот такое херовное дело сделал. Правда, я туда не часто, конечно. Но смайликов, да, нету. Единственное плюс Ютуба это то, что можно на автомате сразу менять качество. Это, пожалуй, почти единственный плюс. А так, на самом деле, даже в качестве подписчика, ну, то бишь платного, не вижу никакой привилегии, какой разницы. Может быть, ну, чуть-чуть рекламы меньше. На Твиче это хоть как-то интересно реализовано в плане подписки. Можно, то бишь, по вечерам по самооправданию почему-то кинул, точнее купил ее, купил сапку. А тут, на ютубе, это из категории, когда очень-очень любишь своего стримера. А так, фиг его знает. Я экспериментирую, в принципе, как видишь, и на ютубчике тоже есть. Правда, не часто туда пускаю. Но опять же, в моем случае на ютубе, скажем так, будет очень дикая урезка, что я там сумею сделать. Исключительно игры, но может быть что-то потрещать.
They made fun of how far away I lived. They called my dad a sourdough. I was a blabbermouth as a kid, telling my dad stories I made up for hours. But after that show and tell, I didn't tell him much anymore. He didn't know exactly what was wrong, but his best guess was that the toys he carved weren't cool enough. He carved me a tank.
Интересная
Tried
история,
to tell me
кстати.
what it was like to be in a real tank as a serviceman.
I didn't
Деревянный
know your
танк.
dad was in the military.
Yeah, in the army.
Конечно,
The
что
sad thing is that I'd pretty much forgotten until just now.
вот так мало, я не знаю.
There's so much I still don't know about him.
I'm sorry. He knows how much you love him. You're going to see him again soon
Какая-то
and
странная,
have some closure.
странно грустная история. Вау,
A
какой
lot of
там.
people have gotten confused why Joseph's father is called a sourdough. And
Деревянный танк.
it's not stated outright at the beginning of the game, but Joseph
опасное
and his
оружие.
dad, they grew up in Alaska. And I don't have a real connection to Alaska except through friends who lived there, and it was also the place that me and my dad were gonna go right before he passed away. But I love the idea of Alaska being
Блин,
like
уже
this
не
beautiful
первая
solitary
так,
place. But anyway, what
вроде
that has to
и
do with
не
sourdoughs,
такая
it's an
грустная
Alaskan
игра.
slang term about like
Точнее,
someone
не
who lives in the
наоборот.
backwoods, like a redneck
Такие
in
тона,
Alaska. So I thought that was just to
такая
put some
музыка.
authenticity into the game. I added that word.
Сочетание дает неплохое впечатление. Блин, мне это напоминает... Блин, не могу даже вспомнить, как называется игра. Офигеть. Я помню, что в далеком детстве играл в гоночки. И здесь прям локация напоминает ее. Что-то меня эта игрушка все больше и больше прет. Спокойная такая. Наверняка какой-то будет икшон. Я прям попой чувствую. Так, и куда, кстати, нужно идти? Ой, блин. А нет, все нормально. Я забыл сбросить там кое-какие настройки. Ай. Так, где я в той части был? В этой я прогулялся. А вон там я не был. Ага. Нам ясно только одно. Что это лисица, и она ищет своих лисят. Ибо они куда-то делись. Куда они и что с ними, неизвестно. Мне больше интересно, что-то делает вот этот весь металлолом заросший. График, наверное, года 4 или 5 назад. Сколько этой игре лет? Не то, я достижение открыл. Понятно, таким образом не узнаю. То я просто даже забыл посмотреть, какого года игра. 17-го года. Прикольно. Да, не скажу, что значит не очень старенькая. Чё тут? А почему не сработало? Спасибо за фоллоу. Мука. Так, мне походу Рутонька опять не хочет работать нормально. Точнее, так как должно. Список оповещений. Да, я молодец. Я забыл выставить сайты. Я просто молодец. О. Пардон. Блять, сбросил. Ну ладно, извини, Мука. Не, что-то пошло не так.
I'm not surprised, but I did the same thing, you know. There's something special about having a place to call your own.
And now look at us. Well, if you count renting in an overpriced city.
It's as close as we can get for now.
I thought it was important to say that, yes, I actually did draw this with crayons. And it was just funny to me one day, like, I'm working on my game, and I pulled out my little 1-year-old's like crayon set to draw this item for this game. I just realized just now that I probably threw away the original. I probably should have kept it and given it away to somebody, but oh well. I feel like one of the main reasons people play small indie games is because they are so personal and intimate. So I tried to put myself into this game as much as possible. So almost all the vignettes or little stories you hear in this game, they come from my childhood, where I grew up in the middle of nowhere in Central Virginia in the United States. So yeah, that's probably why I love games like this so much, where you explore this open, wide environment and just find interesting things, because that's exactly what I did as a kid.
Мне просто было очень впадло запускаться, поэтому я благополучно обошел вчерашним днем. Игрушки. Блин, машинально нажимаю Shift. Тут и тут его зажимать не нужно. Как твои дела, Лиса? 2 часа дня. Я, по-моему, где-то... Ну, примерно, да, я тоже где-то в час в 2 проснулся.
just
Ну,
knew from a
удивительное
young
дело
age
даже.
I was going to be a lumberjack, like my father.
Сегодня я прям проснулся бодрячком где-то в районе 8 утра. И, собственно, посидел, повтыкал, чуть-чуть побрынчал на гитаре, поднастроил ОБС, который все равно... поднастроил Рутони, который все равно показал фигу. Ну и, собственно, запустился, и вот в лесу играю. И в лесу, и в роли лисы. Пока что интересненько. Да-да-да, я тоже на это обратил. Хотя даже не спокойно, тут даже немножко она грустненькая. Буквально, наверное, минут 15 назад, когда я только запустил и только начал проходить, там мы уже выяснили, что это лисица, которая ищет своих потерявшихся лисят. Так что уже с самого начала дано направление, что эта игрушка будет в принципе достаточно грустной. Ну, кстати, что Ubisoft... Да, уже давно. У меня она уже, наверное, второй или третий день. Да-да-да, мне она забрана. Кстати, ты мне знаешь, что напомнил? В этом же месяце раздают эпики игрушки новые. То бишь, в прошлом месяце... Ну вот в эту фигню, которую я недавно заморачивался. The Witness называется. И, собственно, с эпиков забрал. Она вплоть до сегодняшнего вечера будет. И она еще не вышла. Вечером, скорее всего. Вечером можно будет заполучить от эпиков Транзистор. Без понятия, что за фигня. Нет, понятно, что фигня. Я не знаю, Алис, я не проходил. Я, собственно, первый раз ее прохожу. Я просто вчера увидел, что игрушка по акции, точнее со скидкой, и там рублей 100 стоит. Точнее, я там две игрушки нашел, которые там буквально по 100 рублей стоили, с учетом скидки. Мне не туда. Это другая локация. Другая локация. Я хочу обратно. Я там не все долутал. Можно вернуться обратно? Или меня просто тупо не пропустит? Не... Я вижу край текстур. Давай, приятного аппетита тебе, Алис. Кстати, что будешь кушать? Наверняка яичницу с энергетиками. Ну или нет.
My teenage years were full of sketching, angst,
Wow.
and trouble. I wasn't popular or unpopular. Maybe just forgettable. I guess that gave me a sense of freedom. So I hung out with crazy kids, doing crazy things, even though I mostly just
Мне,
watched the
кстати,
chaos
заканчивается
ensue.
кофе.
We did it all. Put fireworks in mailboxes, hide roadkill in people's garages, break windows of the barber shop in Anchorage. My dad was furious, but he was so busy working he couldn't do much to stop me from going out.
Каково мне закончилось?
I think being an adult means there's no one to stop you making hard decisions. He had to make a living, and he couldn't be in two places at once.
Yeah, I realize that now. But at the time, I was sure he was more interested in growing his business than what was going on with me. This is the level that I showed at PAX West, which was a crazy dream come true that this hobby project was being shown next to all these amazing indie games. So I decided to show this level because it's smaller, there's like some jumping puzzles, and I thought it was a good entry into the game. But the one thing I can't seem to forget is right before we opened to the public, there was an indie dev superstar. Like, you've definitely heard of his games. And I was like terrified. He wanted to try it out. So I said, of course, like, please give me your feedback. And he was super nice, super talented, of course. But this embarrassing bug happened, which I'd never seen before in my life, where when he dug the item up, he jumped right after.
Серьезно?
And it created the dust cloud to permanently be on the rest of it. It wouldn't turn off. So it looked like this
Бабочки могут меня запульнуть.
As it just kept running with this beautiful music and serious voiceover.
Кстати, это фишка, это не первая игра, которая...
I think about that every time I look at this level. But, you know, I was able to fix it, so I'm glad someone could at least find that bug. I always wanted this game to be very meditative and relaxing, but I know there's a balance between keeping the player's interest. So I added this butterfly jumping mechanic just to like spice things up. I used a plugin called Playmaker for Unity, which in a visual editor lets you do interactive things, which is perfect for me because I do come from a film and design background. But on the flip side, I really wish I was good at code because this jumping mechanic, the jumping mechanic in the whole game actually just frustrated a lot of players. But hopefully I've been able to fine-tune it, so it should feel a lot better now. I would just hate that this meditative game would get frustrating, so I've definitely I've lowered the gravity, I've made the jumps more consistent, so hopefully people can just focus on the world and the story.
Так. Ай. Упаль. Вот в таких играх прям на самом деле очень по кайфу слушать музыку. И вообще звуки. Кто-то опять заработался ночи, и мои друзья выскочили в гости и разнались о том, как им скучно, и что мне нечем дома заняться. Кто-то вспомнил, что в гараже до сих пор стоит старый до жути уродливый пикап. О, круто было бы прокатиться, мне было все 15, так что сначала я вроде отказался, а потом бац, и мы уже несемся по горной дороге, из-под колес летят обрывки, летят с обрыва камни, и из колонок орёт жуткий блюграсс. Я рулила фиолетовым образом на колесах. Друзья сидели и кидали бутылки мусора в бар, что придется. Мне казалось, что я парю где-то на вершине хорошего. Немного нас остановил коп рядом с... Потом...
What followed was a long night of talking to disappointed adults and feeling smaller than ever.
Сам виноват. Нефиг было мусорить. Любишь на саночках кататься, люби их и возить. Меня окружают бабочки. Бабочки. Чуть-чуть не допрыгнул. Как внезапно выросла лиса, да? Тут можно, оказывается, отодвигаться. Это, по-моему, все. Нет, нифига, какая дальность. Радиоуправляемая лиса. Так, там что-то есть. Я это вижу. Интересно, а нужно будет за нее есть? А, там приставку типа нашли. Нашел. Вау. Освещение еще хорошо проработали. Тень лисы. Прям на самом деле кайфная игра. Очень, очень даже кайф.
All he said, like it was a polite request, was, "Make this right." I sat there in silence, fuming, but I eventually got out and combed every square inch of the woods, muttering profanity after profanity.
Фишка как в Skyrim не работает.
Later, near a small waterfall off the road, I went back to the truck, put the wet tape back in. And sure enough, it worked. We didn't speak another word to each other the rest of the night.
Wow, I knew you were a crazy teenager, but...
It's hard to believe, isn't it? It surprises me too. It's like I didn't really know who that kid
вот
was
где
back then.
бабочки.
I bet my dad thought the same thing over and over. It's almost like he was saying, "Make this right" to himself, more than to me.
Машинально нажал на Space. А почему он не нажал? Цепляйся. Так, с какой попытки я попаду? Есть. Так, как теперь туда забраться? Может, вот так вот сбоку? Ладно, с другой стороны. Понял, принял. Осознал, переварил. Принял. Информацию принял к сведению. Нет, пожалуйста. О, не прокатило. Ну, 50 звездочек собрал. Получил ачивку.
My biggest hope for the players that are playing is that they realize how similar these two parallel stories are of this fox looking for her missing cubs and also of this son reconnecting with his father. And so I try to add little touches in the voiceover and in the environment to help
Вообще я
draw
только
those
услышал то, что у
parallels, even
него
if they seem
какие-то
totally
были
dissimilar.
нелады,
A big
то ли с
example is the
родителями.
truck, for instance, that Joseph grew up with. It's purple and yellow like the butterflies for this fox. So I tried to add as many touches like that throughout the story as
Лиса не
possible.
боится воды. По идее, я под водой. Я должен задыхаться. Интересно, край карты. О! Уй! А мне вот туда еще походу.
You may have noticed there's a little pond here, and believe it or not, I tried everything I could to get swimming working in this game, and I just could not do it, unfortunately. And so all the water in this game you can just stand in, which is, it still like bums me out, but the systems were not working, it was buggy. So I just had to throw it out, which, you know, I think it's okay. Like, I wish it was there, but again, the focus of this game is on the story.
Для чего это было нужно? Эта бабочка. Может, конечно, вот туда запрыгнуть? Интересно, эта фишка тоже сработает? Или здесь есть тропинка? Ну, фиг его знает. Я могу вообще комбинировать бабочки? Это интересно. Да! Их можно комбинировать. Охренеть. Или нет? Ну, проверим. Нет, они не комбинируются. Обидно. На такую же высоту. Если на такую же высоту взлетает. Хоть одна, хоть две, хоть сразу три. Вообще это странно. По идее должно все складываться. Что еще раз? Барбер шоп. Барбер Стрейзен.
So I just had to throw it out, which, you know, I think it's okay. Like, I wish it was there, but again, the focus of this game is on the story.
А, нет, серьезно, тут надо их всех объединить. Возможно, одна бабочка отлепилась от меня, когда я там прыгал. Хотя не похоже, что как-то прыжок был заметно выше или сильнее. Блин. Да что ж у меня такая дебильная привычка нажимать на пробел. Дабл прыжок. Так, одна бабочка взята. Вторая. Сейчас надо последнюю забрать. По идее будет усиление прыжка, что ли. Три. Бабочка, блин, гори.
My friends would laugh about that night.
Вот бабочку все говорили, как было круто, я смеялся, не представлял, вот они, ни о чем не беспокойся. Когда я повторяю от нашего души, вижу там, то меня ждут
It's like those mountains were a literal wall, keeping me from leaving, where all I would have to look forward to are lumberyards and evening views. I had to climb over.
Ладно, я был неправ.
That was my only goal for a long time.
Прыжки комбинируются. Вау, какая красота.
If there was some way I could take my love of drawing
Ой, блин.
and turn it into a way of escape,
Зачем мне
nothing would
искать
make
этот,
me happier. I
рыть
wanted to
этот
create
хлам?
instead of tearing trees down. I wanted to move to the lower
И
48,
что Лиса
not because I
пытается
hated it
найти
there in
в этих
Alaska,
буграх?
but I hated the idea of it. It's like all of that spite inside me had
Типа
created this
погибших
monster
лисят?
which followed me around my whole teenage years. I put so much energy into doing what others didn't expect of me. Why did I do that?
There's one fact you're forgetting, though. If you didn't have that fire in you, we probably would have never met.
You're absolutely right. Maybe the destination is all that matters in the end. But then why am I awake? Why am I seeing this fox go on her journey? And why can't I stop thinking about my dad?
А, я перешел на другую локацию. Шустро. А это вечер уже.
I did want to do something a little different with this level. I wanted it to be more
Я даже не
open
знаю,
world
туда
feel,
ли я бегу или
and
нет.
that there was something blocking your progress. So it did encourage people to look closely and see how to unlock this blocked
Интересно,
way.
тут временной
And I
лимит
do
есть
like
или
just
нет?
walking around this level and listening to the beautiful music by Josh Kramer. His work really sets the mood for the whole game. My dad built a lot of stuff in his free time. If he wasn't watching fly fishing or reading Tom Clancy novels, he was carving something. He made tons of birdhouses. Not that he was into bird watching, but I think he really missed working and adding on to the home. If he couldn't afford the time to build onto our own house, he would have to settle with watching birds move into their little homes. We kept an old mattress in the bed of that ugly yellow truck.
Совета опека.
So we would drive
Вот
deep
у нас
into
был
the
старый
woods
матрас, и
and
мы
then watch the
выехали
birds fly
смотреть,
to
как
their
птицы
houses while the
возвращаются
sun
с
set.
крыши, шники, брали с
Usually it
собой
was
военные на
accompanied by
огне,
venison
никакого особо
jerky,
не разговаривали, и
cold
это
Coke,
было нам
but not a
обоим
lot
по
of
душе.
talking, which is how we both liked it.
Кстати, интересный способ прохождения. На заднем части грузовика находится матрас. Можно и лежать, смотреть на звезды. А если есть еще телескоп, порассматривать их.
Almost all stories follow the same kind of structure, and it starts with an inciting event, and then there's rising action, and then there's a climax, and then there's falling action. And it's actually really difficult to make an interesting story where you only hear these two people talking, and it's spoken through a dream that's already happened. And the most of the action is about this animal that isn't directly related to this couple at all. So I don't know what I was thinking, but my hope was that it would create some interesting things and connections that I didn't see before. And that was kind of the whole exercise of
это его рассказ об этой лисе. Но почему именно эта лиса? Столько вопросов. Что это сделал? Я какой-то херовину поймал. Блин, помню, мне она немножко отдает Раймом. Тоже одинокая и достаточно грустная история игры. По такому же стилистике графика.
On our property, there were old abandoned pieces of a shed and car long left unused. I used to ask him all the time who those people were that left all this junk, and I'm sure he got so tired of hearing it that he made up some elaborate stories how a brown bear ate them and haunted the woods afterwards. What's funny is I think it made those people seem more real, growing up thinking they were still hanging out like they couldn't say goodbye. I used to tell my friends how I could swear I saw spirits move near the water, and that always freaked them out. I guess it didn't bother me, because the way I saw it, they were normal people with old cars and sheds, just trying to figure out how to survive and be happy in the middle of nowhere. It was a cool thought that they didn't want to leave, but I was a weird kid.
Даже очень пипец каким странным.
You had good company since those ghosts like living in a place where they were brutally devoured.
Каждому призраку понравилось бы жить там, где его разорвали. Или убили. Зато можно попугать животных или людей. Два из трех. Кстати, какие тут ачивки?
At the times when I detested him the most, he kept reaching out. For a year straight, he asked me every week when we were going camping. I thought he was just dense. Eventually, to shut him up, I agreed. We carried out the worn lawn chairs from the garage and set up a cinder block campfire at the site we'd always used behind the house. We walked down the mountain path, talking in the warm sunshine we only got a couple months of the year. Those 3 obsidian rocks shimmered alongside the shore, almost like sparklers pressed against a dark window. I'll never forget that wet stone on my feet, or how those massive mountains looked even bigger in the lake's reflection. I felt small, but grateful. As the sun set, my dad found something I hadn't seen for a long time. The tree where I'd made my first carving when I was 6. I hadn't even carved it. My dad had helped me, but I still called it my tree. Something about seeing my name there made me open up, and we talked about everything that night in that old camouflage tent. I told him how much I love sketching and design, and how it would be a dream to study architecture in Seattle. I told him how I didn't get along with my friends much anymore, but that I didn't mind being alone. He told me he was there for me, and he joked that if all he had to do was write my name on a tree to finally get me to talk, he would have left me carved logs with novels on them in front of my room every morning. I don't know why it took me that long to realize it, but it was then I knew how much he had sacrificed for me.
Так, прогуляюсь я вот тут. Ё-моё. Неожиданная подстава.
Earlier I said I just love going through video games and exploring, like looking at every nook and cranny and just trying to find little details. And I think that started because in middle school and high school, I would make mods for my favorite games, namely Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast, and Far Cry. And I loved like this huge world of mod makers who would make these levels, and it'd be like the most random creative things, and I would just love exploring, usually multiplayer levels by myself. So even though I went to college for film, before that, like before high school, I was making video games and mods. And it was my favorite thing in the world. I made a ton of different levels. I made an abandoned space hotel with a dance floor and cafeteria. I made a haunted campground with cabins and tents. I made this whole city with like the first ever day-night cycle with running showers and stuff in the hotel and the apartment buildings. And I just loved making those mods. And I think that carries over to my game, The First Tree, and also the one before that, Home is Where One Starts, which is it's exploration. You're just looking around and appreciating the details.
Такое чувство, что это один из разработчиков. Он сюда просто добавил в качестве титров.
We were happiest underneath the evergreens. We decided it was time to finally map out the hundreds of acres we lived on, just to pass the time during the summer. He was only free in the evenings, so I would spend the day wasting time on dial-up internet and sketching, and then we would rush into the woods, pen and map in hand, before evening fell. Sometimes the aurora borealis would cast a cold green glow on the mountainside, and we would finish our route underneath a twilight sky. Sometimes I was lonely during those summer days, but there was comfort in the routine.
A lot of teenagers aren't looking for the daily grind, though. There's nothing wrong with wanting to get out, to leave your childhood home. You wanted to progress, to make something of yourself.
Yeah, you're right. That house. I'm sure it's the same as how I left it. But then why does it feel so different?
I doubt you're the only adult to have looked back and asked that question.
И явно не туда. Вау. вообще скосил. Так, мне явно не туда. Тут туннель есть. Не будет следующий локация. Нет. Это там вот. Это пробежать. Как так? Вроде как сюда направляет. Почему 2 раза не прыгнул? Либо... Да, все равно не хочет запрыгивать. Вот это внимательность. Уи. Окей. Путь конвейер. Я типа что-то открыл. Получается. И где же? Чё? Алиса застанет только тот момент, когда я уже закончу стрим. Я что-то здесь пропустил. Да, и он столб. Все взял. Это вот этому метка. Куда, чтобы игрок не потерялся. Теперь куда? Стоп, и там было пианино? Да? Центр. Так, секунду. В центр же едешь, да? В центр едешь. Ить. Не, все равно не помогает. Блядь. По-моему, я кругаля делаю. Как же и захрустело. Вот пуля просвистела, грудь пропала. откуда мне вот сюда?
I don't think the first tree could work at all without the music by Josh Kramer. And his music, it's actually publicly available to license, and so it was affordable for me since this was a hobby project. And it's something I like to tell new indie developers all the time, like, you can't afford that composer, you can't afford a full-time programmer. You need to cut corners and finish your game, and the way to do that is to use these amazing publicly available assets that anyone can purchase and license. And so his music is incredible, and I actually haven't talked to him that much, I've just emailed him. But his music was nominated for Most Emotional Music at the Emotional Game Awards in France, and he's just a really nice guy. And I think there's so much amazing content out there that if you're thinking of making a game, look around and see what you can make work on a tight budget, because it worked really well for the first tree.
The perpetrator stood nearby, unfazed, like nothing was wrong. My dad is dead, and he's never coming back, Rachel. I can tell you these stories, but I can never reminisce with him again. He can never hold a grandchild that we'll probably never be able to have.
Почему волк убежал?
Again, and I'll never be able to say I'm sorry.
Куда он исчез?
It was really important to me that the wolf in this story that takes the fox's cubs, that it wasn't explained at all. Like, it's just this entity that's in the background. And of course, it's supposed to represent something bigger than a wolf or even the fox. It's supposed to represent like the specter of death, and it comes when you least expect it. There's no justification. He's just there, always watching.
Блин, просрал. Опять спрятанные. Так не работает. Ой, блин, я зажимаю альт. Просто бежать надо. Ну ладно. Вижу. Так, по идее, еще один лисенок остался.
I just can't talk about this anymore. Good night.
Good night. Блин, мне бы тоже сейчас пойти good night. Да я вроде дочухал. Почему? Почему меня начало так резко и сильно рубить? Во-первых, музыка. Если она очень-очень спокойная. Очень спокойная. И, конечно же, плюс того, что я не выспался. Точнее, я выспался. У меня начало сильно... Точнее, я очень поздно... Не поздно лег, я очень рано встал. Ну, блин, только меня вот эти кружки напрягают. А так очень здорово. То, как она бегает по воде.
Hello, my name is Elise Whaley, and I was the voice actress for Rachel. I'm also David's wife. So that was convenient for working together. I was actually the voice actress for his first game, Home is Where One Starts, and I guess that I did a good enough job that David wanted me back, so I did the voice acting for this one as well. David definitely coached me through it because I'm pretty inexperienced when it comes to that. Home is Where One Starts was my first time ever doing voice acting of any kind. And we watched a lot of trailers of movies we liked to get the voice right of female leads who were talking in the trailer and try to mimic that and bring that into the game. So that had the right kind of feel and the right kind of atmosphere for the voice. My character actually is the same character from Home is Where One Starts. If you've played that game, you probably connected that together. And this is her, probably about 15 years later, maybe 20 years later, in this game. I was happy to revisit the character of Rachel. We kind of leave her in an ambiguous spot in Home is Where One Starts. It definitely ends on a hopeful note, but there's not a lot of details. And in this game, you see that she's able to move on through a lot of her issues that she had from her abusive home and be able to start her own family and start a new cycle without that abuse, which I think is really inspiring.
You know what it's like not to have a mom at home. And you know how hard that made my childhood. What helped me was watching the birds in the morning before the school bus came. I thought that my mother was one of those birds. And it made me want to be free like her. My mom taught me how to fold origami cranes while she was in the hospital. So I told myself I would fold one every day until I could fly myself. I think we both have always loved animals, and for me that love started with a dog. Wow. Sometimes this Rottweiler would come up to our property line and wait at the fence for me, but only once in a while. I was sure to check every day immediately after school, and it usually ended in disappointment. I would even steal money from my passed out dad just so I could buy these off-brand dog biscuits. Even when she did stop by, she never went beyond the fence. Why was she so scared?
So it's always interesting working with your spouse because, especially on a creative project, because they want your feedback, but it's something that's also dear to their heart, and they're dear to your heart, and you definitely don't want to hurt their feelings. So I was a little nervous when David asked me, he had finally finished writing the script, and he asked me to go over it and see what I thought. And I had minored in English. I majored in art, but I minored in English, so I felt like I had a little bit of experience. But I was definitely like a little scared because you don't want to be too harsh, but you also want to be honest. And it was the biggest relief when I read the script, and I was like, oh good. My husband's a good writer. I don't have to change that much about this, just a few like grammatical things. And that was just like the biggest relief for me because it can be a tricky balance.
Это типа моя зона, где я могу бегать, что ли?
That honesty is there, but also that love and.
Ну, допустим. Это режим комментариев, ёп.
the support is there as well.
I think my dad was the opposite of your dad in almost every way, except he was in the military as well. He coped with alcohol of every kind. The trailer started falling apart, he got angry, and I withdrew. More and more I became the weird, quiet kid who made lots of origami birds and carried dog biscuits around. I think we were pretty similar when it came to being the weird kids. And that same sincerity in college was one of the reasons I was so drawn to you. Life got worse and worse, and at one point, I really didn't think I could survive another day with my soul still intact. I had no real friends, let alone neighbors, since we lived in the middle of nowhere. I should have talked to my teacher, but I was scared what he would do if he found out.
Он улыбается.
As I waited for the school bus one morning, I walked around until I found something in an abandoned shed. Something I can't put into words.
So we're talking about homes where one starts a lot. So if you haven't played that game, maybe this doesn't make as much sense, or maybe this is a little plug that you should go play it. But in that game, it actually features one of my artworks. I work as an artist and paper cutting actually, and David used one of my artworks as a graffitied stencil in Home is Where One Starts that's against the wall of this shack. And it actually shows up again in the first tree, just a fragment of it. The first tree, the title actually comes from one of my artworks that I made back in 2015, I want to say. And I made this artwork while I was pregnant with our first child. And it had a lot of meaning for me, and David actually helped me come up with the title. And he asked it because I was really struggling. I was like, I have no idea what to call this, and I always go to David for title ideas and to bounce ideas off of him, and that's like the only way I can ever come up with a title is by talking with him. So we were talking back and forth and looking at this artwork, and he said, well, what kind of like movies or shows were you watching while you're making the artwork? Because my work's pretty tedious, so sometimes I'll watch a show or do some Netflix binging while I'm creating it. And I was like, oh, I actually watched Tree of Life a ton. And they were like, Tree of Life, and we started thinking more about that, and then arrived at the first tree. So it started off as one of my artworks, and then became a part of David's art, which I think is really cool that we were able to share that title.
You have strength, Joseph. And you're not as alone as you think.
Я прошел мимо, не дошел до него. Я молодец.
It's like having the home I always wanted is cursed out of my reach. The thought of being a parent myself. How could I do that when I couldn't even be a good son? I'm sorry.
Что тут есть интересного?
I just don't know how things will work out. These quiet hours will turn into years. We'll wonder which roads passed us by.
Then we'll forge a new road together. Besides, I discovered for myself that one fateful morning where any hopeful road leads to. There may be thorns and mist, but it always leads to the same thing.
And what's that?
Family.
Семья.
I'm so glad that you're part of my family, Rachel.
And I'm glad you're part of mine. I summoned courage I didn't know I had, and I broke into my dad's room and found the key to the shed where he had locked my bike.
Похоже, и у него, и у нее
The wind rushing by my
печальная
ears as the
история
sun rose
с
over fields of
их
wheat.
семьей.
I was flying for the first time. I biked as far as my legs could take me until I found a house that felt friendly and that felt like home. Those strangers helped me in so many ways. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have found my foster family. And if it wasn't for my parents, I wouldn't have met you.
Oh.
Fox knew her last cub would be waiting for her at the first tree. She was almost there. The rain cascaded onto the jade valley where the entrance to the tree was. Life was protected there, because that's where life began. It was now only a mother and a daughter left. Items from my life still dotted the ground as she moved closer to her destination and destiny.
Знаете, ребят, конечно, обидно сказано, ибо мне на самом деле только прошел час 40 стрима. Я, пожалуй, пока что закончу. Я просто сижу и понимаю, что мне так люто начало рубить, что пиздец полный. Я сижу и залипаю. Вот называется... Точнее... Ну да, почти. Спокойной ночи. Я вспомнил, что меня вырубило сегодня. Ну, то бишь, я лег спать где-то в 1:02 ночи. И... Не, это не скучная игра. Мне нравятся такие игры. Тут скорее в другом дело. Я проснулся часов в 5 утра. Где-то, даже не в 5, где-то в 6 утра. При том, что лег в 2. В 1:02. Мне просто ночью очень сильно схватило живот, и я просто сижу и залипаю. Пытаюсь сейчас что-то сфокусироваться, но нет, мне не получается. Просто засыпаю. Но для тебя нормально. Мне в среднем нужно хотя бы часов 7-8 поспать. Ну да, я хочу где-то часика два покемарить. И, скорее всего, заново возобновлю. Ой. Поэтому я что-то пытался, но не рассчитал немножко силы. Так что где-нибудь... Ну да, может быть, часика через 2, через 3 я еще подрублю. Надеюсь, тогда буду посвежее. Ну и более подвижно. Давай, хорошо, Лиз, давай еще... Ну, в принципе, тебе придет уведомление о том, что запустил стрим. Давай. До вечера, если что.